Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, or evening based on where you're dialing from. My name is Asha, and I'm your host for today's episode of Carbon Insiders Live. This is a show produced by One Click LCA to promote sustainable construction and manufacturing, featuring One Click LCA's product experts. Next, please. So today we are thrilled to have Kostas and Myriam with us, product experts from One Click LCA. They're going to discuss about Carbon Designer 3D and its business success and importance of early carbon optimization. Kostas and Myriam, could you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hello, Asa. Many thanks. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to the webinar. So I'm Kostas Koukoulopoulos. I'm product manager of the construction squad at OneClick LCA. So we're a team of 12 people, and we are mostly working with the AEC side of things. So not as much with manufacturing and EPD, and we take care of Carbon Designer 3D integrations with other software like Revit, and we're also currently in charge of a large ongoing rewrite project where we try to revamp the data input pages and improve user experience. That's it for me.
Hi everyone, I'm Myriam Kozah. I'm the product owner for Carbon Designer 3D and part of the bigger squad, which is the construction squad.
Thank you, Kostas and Myriam. So before we begin, I would like to give a quick nod to our production team, including April, Abgail, and Melina. So Abgail and Melina are sustainability comms experts at OneClick LCA. So they'll be moderating today's live Q&A session, which takes place at the end of the show. So you can already start asking your questions in the comment section on LinkedIn or Livestorm. So Abgail and Melina will pipe your questions over to Kostas and Myriam to answer at the end of the show. Next, please. Carbon Designer 3D is developed by OneClick LCA, and this is an early carbon optimization tool and more. So Kostas will now discuss the business benefits and its features in detail. Over to you, Kostas.
All right. So first, now in my part of the presentation, we'll go through the potential benefits you can have from using the tool, and then we'll continue with an explanation of the features and the demo of the tool. So first, when it comes to the list, I have prepared here a list of potential benefits. The list is not ranked in a special way, but I try to group similar use cases with each other. All of them are mostly relevant for architects, designers, building owners, and so on, but the last item can be also relevant for manufacturers. But taking this from top to bottom, so today, very often, when it comes to whole building LCA, lifecycle assessment starts in the very late stages of the project when there is an available bill of materials. But unfortunately, at this stage, many decisions are already done. And Carbon Designer comes and helps you resolve this problem. So it tries to help you with the very early design stages, even with strategy and concept stages of the project. So you can start your LCA assessments already in early design. And this can also, it's not just about offering an extra service, but it can also help you achieve more ambitious decarbonization targets. So because at this very early design stage, you have the possibility to, one can theoretically start from checking in what locations they built in their building and how the foundations looks and how this affects the whole building. But also later on, in the concept stage, one has the flexibility to assess what frame they will use for their building. Will they go with concrete or wood, and so on. So in this early stage, you have the maximum flexibility to consider what choices you make and how you build your building, while in the later stages, it might come down just to material selection and provider and procurement and manufacturer selection. This early setup can also help you create an early stage baseline that you use as a reference, or you can even create a building and use it as a comparison for a renovation and do this type of assessment. And then if we move to the next part, so okay, the carbon impacts is one thing, but then the tool can create for you a quite representative bill of materials for what you can use in the early design stages for all kinds of purposes, like an early cost estimation, Or you can use these material quantities to just fill in the gaps. For example, if you have a BIM model that is lacking some building parts, or if you have an energy model that has only the building envelope, Carbon Designer can help you fill in these gaps. Additionally, the tool is aimed to give you a simplified and very fast approach when it comes to creating a full building LCA. So theoretically, this is a tool that can be used to scale LCA uptake within your organization by offering a quicker and easier solution for people to use and perform LCAs, for example, for all your buildings. So this can come quite handy if you find that the main tool has too many details. This can be quite nice. And then, moving on, when you perform, and you can use the tool to perform LCA for every building, because I mean, even if the end customer is not as interested in the decarbonization paths and all this part, you can still get a carbon tag for all your projects. Also, a real estate investor might be interested in modeling existing portfolio and see how the impacts look for their existing buildings. And last, what can be interesting also for manufacturers is that, well, with the Carbon Designer, you create a full building LCA where you can see the impacts, how the impact change if you make choices of different materials and different construction solutions. So theoretically, you can one can generate a reference building and generate a customized building that uses the material of a specific manufacturer and get a quick comparison in a building level. And all this, in short, help you make informed decisions. So if we can move to the next slides. So yeah, these were the business cases, the business benefits, and some selected cases. And now I will explain briefly what are the features there. So the tool generates quickly typical buildings with minimal inputs, just building area and building type and size, and very basic information. And you can quickly generate in seconds a bill of materials for the full building and an LCA, identify the hotspots, start identifying carbon optimization paths, and compare alternatives and use some ready scenarios or compare your own and go to any level, to some given level of detail. And then the next slide, we can see a summary of the insights. So bill of materials, carbon impacts reductions, carbon comparisons, and carbon hotspots are the main things you take. And if we continue the next slide, April. And the analysis you take is you get results by building part or building component, and if there is some local classification system, we have integrated many of them already in the tool, so you can see result by the local classification system, and you can also see the impacts on material level. And long story short, I guess. So it's the tool helps you make informed decision, like have figures for carbon and like for carbon and material masses in early design, and it can help you make decisions on how you design your building while you have the maximum flexibility theoretically in a project. Select material systems and so on. And that is it.
Thank you, Kostas. That was really insightful. So now he will again demonstrate how Carbon Designer 3D works using a live project. So yeah, check it out.
All right. So I will share my screen. All right. So here I have two projects. I have a project where I have already created some designs and another one that I don't have something. So I will start from showing you how you create a new design and how you start using the tool. So the tool is always used on top of an existing project. So, and you can launch it either from the project page once you open a project or directly here from the main page. So you can see on top of which tool you want to use Carbon Designer with. So the tool selection affects the type of results you're getting, and also it affects which regions are within Carbon Designer are available for you. So we always ensure that Carbon Designer regions and the data they use are compliant with the type of calculation you are trying to perform. So now I have here in the landing page. So once you launch Carbon Designer, you can either start loading designs. For example, I have an example here, and I will load it. I will zoom out a bit and see how an existing design looks, and start adding more. But I will start first by creating a new design to take you step by step. So we'll say right here, then project, and then here once you start, you just input design name, you input the area and the calculation period for your assessment, and then we have a range of reference buildings. Here we offer some generic option for like an international reference building that you can use everywhere, but then we have also created some customized versions for different regions, which my colleague Myriam will explain later on. So yeah, here I will just select, for example, international region, and I will continue. So these were the basic info. Then you select what building type you want to use. So this will affect a bit the geometry and the amount of internal walls you have, for example, in your building, or how many windows you have, and it will affect some parts of the geometry. And then moving on, in the next part, you select what you want to include in your assessment and some more details about your building. So for now, I will include all the different building parts, and I will add, let's say, 3 building floors above ground and 1 underground heated floor. And then I can also select what type of structural frame my building has. So here we have a list of options like concrete frame, wooden frames like CLT or glulam, steel frame, precast concrete, and then we have introduced also some earthquake scenarios, and in general we are constantly working on adding more building frames. And then we also have some more options for the foundations for special cases. Then I will continue. So in the next step, I will zoom out a bit. You get directly the building dimensions. So you can see how we calculate the building, and you can see here a 3D model of the building. As of today, you can only create orthogonal buildings out of the box, but I will explain what to do if you have some different shape. So here, once I calculate areas, one can theoretically edit here this information, and this will change. You can see every time I change the column spacing, it adjusts the 3D model, and then so one can adjust it, and then I will and check the model, and then I will calculate the more detailed areas of all the different building parts. At this stage, if you don't have an orthogonal building, the way to do it today is that you can come directly and edit here these geometries and adjust the project so that it has exactly what it has in your case. The 3D model will not be updated based on that change, but the calculation will be based on the selections you did. So here at the next step, there is an option to just continue and generate directly your building, or there is an option to here customize it and generate your own reference buildings. I will explain this in the next step. So here I create my design, the software generates the bill of materials and performs the calculation. So this takes a little time. So at this stage, so at the next step, I get directly all the insights like bill of materials, carbon impacts, breakdown per material type, per building part, per classification depending on the tool, and you can create alternative designs. So yeah, I got here my building. So theoretically now I have the full LCA. Here you can see on the left different type of graphs. So you can see where my impacts are coming from. And then you can also see, you can switch the graph and you can also maximize it. And you can also switch to alternative graphs, material-based impacts, classification-based impacts, and well, you can see also the total if you have many designs. And one can then come make copies of this design. If you want, you can also save it to your project and so on. And here, if you wish, you can come here, you can say, how did we calculate the wall? So you can come here, go to the external wall. And as you can see, the default is a brick wall, sandwich wall assembly. But if you wish, you can switch to another wall. So I will set this to 0%. Calculation is updated directly. I will set this one to 0%, and then I will set, for example, the timber frame assembly. If you wish, you can go to the more details of this, see the exact materials that consist this building assembly and switch the different materials. To save some time, I will not do it now. Yeah, and once you are here, you can see directly the updated calculation, and you can make copy and start editing, let's say, the copy. So alternative 1. And this will generate directly, and you can start comparing the two designs, and you can also see the carbon impacts here. And this is it. And then I would like to show you also a full, more detailed project. So I will open this in a separate tab. Just a moment for that. So I will come here and I will open my second project. And I will show you for an example of how our different designs I have created. So here I have already created alternatives. And then if you don't like if you think that, for example, the wall is not as good, our default wall is not as good for this calculation, for the reference building, or if you want to customize it, you can make the changes that you wish in the elements in the different building parts, and then save all your changes as a private template for your company account so that you and all your colleagues can use. So yeah, like you can further, if the existing reference buildings are not suiting you, you can create your own for your local region or for your company or for a specific manufacturer. And actually, that is it. Yeah, once you're done, if you wish, you can just stop here or save the data in a design and then go to more detailed calculations and compare this design with other projects in one-click LCA in the traditional interface. That is it.
Very interesting demo. Thank you, Kostas. So yeah, so after seeing the demo, if you feel that one-click LCA sounds like a solution for your needs, our business development team of both global and local carbon experts would love to provide a tailored demo to show you how our software will work for you. So now Melina and Abgail, our moderators, will trigger a poll function in Livestorm. So if you're dialing from Livestorm, you will see a poll asking if you would like our business development team to contact you to book a custom demo to see our software. So if you want to see the software in live, please click yes in the poll in Livestorm. So we also want to add that we have a team of 180 plus international carbon experts, so who can help you understand more about construction LCA, embodied carbon, and other sustainability factors in the industry that impacts you and your work. So please talk to our local experts today to know more about your region. So again, a reminder, so if you'd like our business development team to show your free demo of Carbon Designer or one-click LCA software, please go ahead and click yes. So moving on, Carbon Designer has been localized, as I said, to align with regional specifications. So now let's turn to Myriam for updates on how Carbon Designer has been adapted, focusing on regional variations, data, and key partners. Over to you, Myriam.
Thanks, Asha. So as we're always working, thank you. So as we're always working to enhance Carbon Designer 3D, our focus on regional expansion is key. So for that, we try to ensure compliance with local building regulations for energy efficiency and environmental standards. So this involves usually a deep dive into certification schemes, collaborating with local experts, and collaborating with some partners in regions. So our process includes comprehensive research into regional construction trends and preferences, guaranteeing that each new region we introduce is precisely tailored to meet its specific needs. So we're going to focus now to Europe. We cover key countries including Finland, France, Germany, Hungary, and Ireland. So, each region benefits from unique collaborations, such as with the Irish, like for the Finnish reference building, we had a collaboration with the Finnish wooden industry, FBI France for the French reference building, and the Irish Building Council for the Irish reference building. These collaborations ensure our models deeply reflect local construction practices and standards. Many markets have a strong preference for use of specific generic environmental profiles. So, for example, we used CO2 data for the Finnish reference building, or we have industry standard databases like Okobau data for Germany. Such preferences are always taken into account, and in other cases, if we don't have such cases, our own generic data, one-click SA's own generic data, are prioritized. Next, please. So we continue our coverage in Europe. We also cover Italy, Norway, Spain, Sweden, and the United Kingdom, while engaging with stakeholders like StatSpic for Norway and the GBCE for Spain. Our aim is to accurately represent the median building. It's also worth mentioning that one-click LCA's local employees in many different regions also support these kind of developments. Next. So what we're trying to do also is to expand our scope beyond Europe. That is why we cover also the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and the Middle East and North Africa. With the help of Sumitomo, for example, for the Japanese reference building, we were able to develop the reference building. However, for the Australian and the New Zealand reference buildings, we referenced the Green Star Australia and Green Star New Zealand guides. And as mentioned, as Kostas mentioned, we also have two international regions. They are compliant with EN 15804 plus A1 data and with EN 15804 plus A2 data respectively. And they can also be be used in case a needed variation is missing. Also, lastly, we are currently developing the Danish region that aligns with the BR18 regulations, also with the help of local experts. And that's it. Over to you, Asha. Thank you.
Thanks, Myriam. So if you're interested, please contact our local experts to know more about your region. So moving on. So we're really eager to hear your thoughts on Carbon Designer 3D after seeing the demo and Kostas and Myriam talking about it. So please participate in a live poll by selecting an option for the questions presented in the next slide. Next slide, please, April. Yeah. So, question number one, how can we make Carbon Designer 3D better? So, if you're an existing user or even new to Carbon Designer, after seeing the demo, what are your thoughts? So, the options are more flexible geometry, or the option to generate reports or generate optimized alternatives. So, you can please select an option that you think is the most relevant for your needs. Melina will kindly start the poll on Livestorm, so you can click an option that suits you the best. Okay, moving on. So we have one more question for you. What future feature is most important in your opinion for Carbon Designer 3D? So adding more building shapes or reading the geometry from BIM models or direct custom geometry design. So again, please select the option that you think is the most relevant for your needs and your work. Again, Melina, kindly start the poll in Livestorm. Thank you. Yeah, thanks everyone. So moving on. Okay, so finally the moment has come that you have all been waiting for. So we begin our live Q&A with Kostas and Myriam. So if you have any last minute questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the comment section of Livestorm or LinkedIn. Our moderators, Abgail and Melina, will pipe these over to Kostas and Myriam for you. So you can toggle away the slides now. So the first question, how does Carbon Designer 3D aid in early stage design decisions without detailed material specs? Kostas, would you like to take this one?
Sure. Hello. Yeah, sure. What the tool offers is that we try to create in advance a list of common uh, construction solutions that you can use in design. And also because we're in the early design stage, we avoid using manufacturer-specific data. So we use like a bit more generic data of typical performance that you can use as a reference. So the tool has already ready-made constructions or solutions for your region, and then you can create your own private solutions and add them there, and then you can find ready solutions for whole wall, like break walls, for example, and so on, and that tool takes care of the rest.
Thank you, Kostas. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so next question is from Sven. Does Carbon Designer 3D only allow the use of predefined reference models, or will it be possible to import a 3D model like IFC file?
Mm-hmm. Right. So Carbon Designer 3D it has the predefined reference models out of the box, but then one can use the feature we refer to as private templates. So you can create a template that is made out of your custom solutions that you think are more appropriate for your case. And then you can use these alternative templates and generate typical buildings based on them. So template content can be, for example, a specific wall you do for school buildings and external walls, internal walls, and building floors, for example. And then when it comes to IFC files, currently the tool does not support import from IFC, but one can enter the area of the different geometries, so like the area of the slabs, the area of the walls, and so on. So still get the calculation as needed, but it requires this workaround.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, we have another from Mohammed. Can we estimate the carbon footprints of a building made with alternative construction materials using this tool? Again, I think it's Kostas.
Right. Yes, so theoretically one can switch from a whole, like a readily available solution to a custom one, like for like a whole solution for a whole wall, for example. However, you can also just go into the details of the existing solutions and just switch from the default material, like search your whole database and switch to a manufacturer specific construction material. So you can do that, and if you wish to reuse that, you can save it as a template. If this answers the question, also Myriam, feel free to chip in. Yeah.
Thank you. So let's move on. We have the next question from Clark. So how does Carbon Designer 3D account for MEP building services?
Well, I can start, and I think Myriam can fill in as well. We have average. The tool currently has build-ups that offer that represent different building parts and different solutions and different part of the MEP systems. So it can be like lighting or heating or ventilation, and then we create constructions with average material quantities per square meter of gross floor area. So typical MEP solutions can be considered for the embodied carbon as part of the whole building, and we are also working on enabling energy scenarios and energy calculation in the tool. Myriam, do you have something to add, maybe?
Maybe add that we're always also planning on adding new building elements or MEP building services to the tool.
So one can serve the request and we can integrate it at the earliest convenience, or if you want a direct solution, you can create on your own like constructions and use them.
Okay, thank you both. So next question is from Daniel. What about if I need to design a master plan, that is many buildings? May I have as graph output the whole information about all the projects?
Right. So typically today you can create, the assessment makes more sense if you do one building at a time. And then you can combine all your data in one project, for example, and sum them up. That would be something you would do in the main platform. So you create your alternative buildings and then you include them. So that could be one way of doing this. And like the graphs can be then, like in a project level, we have all kind of graphs that combine many designs. So maybe the graph output could be from the main tool in that case, not from Carbon Designer itself.
Yeah, makes sense. So we have another from Albina. Where are the default material footprints come from? What database?
Maybe Myriam, you can take this one.
Yeah, so for that, it depends on the reference building. As mentioned, some reference buildings require some specific databases. So in short, it all depends on the region, the reference building, the requirements, the certification scheme, etc.
Okay, thanks, Miriam. We have the next question from Erland. So can I change the material types after the model has been made? For example, if I want to check the impacts of using a concrete with a lower CO2 factor?
Yes, indeed. So you can, in the interface that I showed, you can go into the details of any construction and start like of any build up for any building part, and then you can switch from one material to the other. The way to do this is that you can keep your original reference building and just make a copy and start working on this alternative and compare it to your original reference. Or, I mean, you can also directly edit the first design. Yeah, so you can switch in the different building parts, all the different concretes, and yeah, see the difference.
Right, thank you. So the next question is from L. I would like to understand how this tool can be used for interior spaces when the building envelope is not in scope.
All right, so the way to do this today is that when you create a design, you can select which building parts you include in your assessment. So we have like you can exclude, for example, foundations, external walls, MEP, and just keep what you wish. And then you just get the reference only for that part. The impacts calculated only for that selected part. Then if you wish to go in more detail, and like can, for example, compare, like consider reusing material scenarios, you can go in more detail by saving that design to the main, let's say to the traditional tool, and then you can go there and start editing more, like tagging materials if they are reused or not, and adjust the service lives of different materials. So we also have an interior design tool, and yeah, so it can be combined with this type of applications, yeah, in this type of workflow.
Really interesting. Okay, so we have next from Valeria. We've used Carbon Designer 3D for building in France. However, the MEP results didn't show when we chose France. We could see the MEP results for international, Canada, and UK. So is there work towards adding more countries with MEP data? Maybe this is for Miriam.
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, I believe the French reference bidding have the low forfaitaire. So they are the MEP and the services for France. But I believe it also depends on the tool that you are using. But yeah, like I need maybe more clarification on that.
But I guess we can say that we can still, well, we're definitely open in integrating this type of request. Well, one challenge we can say is also on the MEP side is that the systems there are a bit more complicated than typical building walls. So for that, having a partner who can support us with providing a bill of materials can be very handy and speed up the things. Yeah. So one, like if, and actually if someone help us with the data, we can create a public scenario, we do all the rest of the work, and we make a public scenario.
Okay, so moving on. The next question is it a useful tool to use for demolition project?
All right. I guess it can be used to get the bill of materials for your project in a quick way, and then combine it with a main tool, like with a typical LCA tools, to go into more detail. So, for example, you can just save everything to your project, and then once you do that, you can get directly the impacts from the waste streams. So yeah, you can easily do that in the main tool, and then you can go into more detail, because in the main tool you can also switch between different end-of-life scenarios like waste treatment scenarios and do this in more detail. You can combine it also with a building circularity tool and make a bit more advanced graphics there and more detailed analysis. So it can be used to, I guess, to generate the bill of materials for the building in a quick way if you don't have some other source of data. And yeah, like the tool, as I mentioned, is a simplified tool. So we don't have very detailed demolition scenarios to choose from, but in the main tool, you can also go into more detail with this type of stuff. We have all kind of fuel types that you can use in creating a demolition scenarios in machinery use.
Okay, moving on. Can users customize scenarios and constructions in Carbon Designer 3D with their data?
yeah, like I guess this one we already brought it up, but it is I believe it is worth it to repeat it once more because this is, in my opinion, a very important part of the tool. So this can also help if you feel that our reference building is not as representative for your region, or if we don't have a region specifically for you. So users can change material in existing constructions or create new constructions and add them, like private constructions, and add them in the tool, and then save this as a scenario in their company account that themselves and their colleagues can use. So when they create a design, we will not save the building design, the building geometry. We'll just save what type of solution you use for walls, for example, like brick walls and this type of stuff. So the geometry is generated the same way always for the building, but then the setup for different building parts is based on these templates and this customized templates that can affect the whole building or specific building parts.
Interesting. Thank you. So we have one final question. So what training or resources are available for new users who are using Carbon Designer 3D?
All right. So for that, like we already, depending on what stage you are and how much effort you want to spend on this, of course, if you are just examining the tool, you can reach out to our business developers and book a demo. Or if you're a new user, you can also, or you want to look more into the details, you can find also in our academy, you can find a class on Carbon Designer that has a range of insights there. And then if you're an existing user, you can also reach out for clarifications to our customer support, and they can help. We also have some articles in our customer support center that explain things in more detail on how we create the regions and what data are there.
Yeah, thank you, Kostas. So Melina and Abgail, you can also drop the link to our academy where you can find the free resources that Kostas mentioned. We also have a Carbon Designer guide written by our expert Vasilis. So you can also share that. It's quite useful when you start with Carbon Designer 3D. So thank you all. That was really interesting set of questions. So moving on. So if you're interested in learning more about One-Click LC, you can scan the QR code that's shown in the slide, or just click the link our moderators drop in the comments. One-Click LC is working to decarbonize construction and manufacturing with its intuitive cloud-based software to conduct LC and generate EPDs at scale. So with One-Click LC, you can differentiate with a sustainability edge, win more business, ensure compliance, and also reduce cost via automation. Moving on. As a note, we are always happy to hear from you. So if you would like to contact us, please visit us at our website, www.oneclicklc.com, or to learn more about construction and manufacturing software, just write to us directly via sales@oneclicklc.com. Thank you, and see you all next time. And thank you, Kostas and Myriam, for joining today.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.